Howdy do, buckaroos. Welcome back to the channel, coming at you live from 23 Diesel here, Buckwild Motorsports headquarters. And we kind of got the shop cleaned out. We got a new employee, right here, new employee, buddy of mine working here. So we had to move the race truck over a little bit, make room for him. So got the two girls here, kind of got them slid over out of the way on some dollies, so it's a little bit easier to move around while it's not running. But nevertheless, the show must go on. We got to get this thing running so it can move under its own power. So on this episode, we're going to be doing the injectors. I'm going to show you the injector socket I have that makes this job super easy. It's kind of a pricey unit if you're just doing this job one time, but obviously I have a habit of working on these things and building them and always tearing them apart. So I spent the good money on the good tools to do it. So I'll show you that socket, and I wish I could have shown you guys taking them out and putting them in, but this truck's kind of a hard one to show because it's not your typical 6.5, so it's not really a good how-to vehicle to show you on. When it comes time to have the engine in the dually, that'll be a better one to show installing in a normal pickup scenario instead of this gutted, ragged out race truck with the center mount turbo, so there's no turbo in the way, and it's just completely different than a normal application that would help you guys out. But I'm still going to show you guys installing them, tools I use, things like that. So I'm going to get the camera flipped around and we are going to start throwing some injectors in this thing. Alright guys, got the fenders off so it's easy to work on, which is another thing, kind of like I was explaining. You typically wouldn't do this on a normal pickup application, rip all the fenders and everything out. You would on this side. No, not even on this side. It can be easier to remove the inner fender on the passenger side to deal with turbo, but typically you only do that for like a glow plug job. You would typically leave both fenders on, and in this case I have both of them off, laying over here, because it's literally 4 bolts and them fenders come right off. There's nothing attached to them, so it just makes it super easy to work on because I can rip the fenders off in 10 seconds and just get right to it. So we come over here, got my old injectors here that were in the engine last year. We're going to slap those in. There's some behind the scenes stuff going on with injectors that I'm not going to disclose yet, but for now we're going to be running my Bosch marine injectors that I was running last year. We're going to put those bad boys back in here and we will go from there. Of course, these coppers aren't that old, they still look good, but always get new coppers. They're dirt cheap. I believe these were $10 to $14 if I remember right, maybe even cheaper, but once you count shipping and everything. Just got them from Leroy, something he always has in stock, easy to get. Got the new coppers, got the good flexible braided, the push lock style. I don't like the clamps. The only time I use the clamps is on the return caps, because obviously that's not a push lock style rubber, so those will blow off. I had that happen at the track with this truck. Unloaded it off the trailer, and luckily it blew it off right as I was unloading it off the trailer, so I was able to find it off the ground, get a clamp, put on it at the track so I could race. But I highly recommend running this 1/8 inch. It's a push lock style braided hose. It's a lot stronger, doesn't dry crack as much, and you don't have to deal with the clamp, so it makes install a breeze, everything like that. And then got the injector holes all cleaned out. When I painted everything, I actually had some old core injectors that I stuck in there to make sure the threads were nice and clean, all that kind of stuff. And we will come over here and I will show you This is a snap-on socket. Snap on there. 30 millimeter. And let me try and get that part number. It is a S as in Sam 6128. And that is specifically for 6.2, 6.5 injectors. As you can see, it's nice and open all the way down inside. And that's to make sure you clear the return nipples. If you use a normal socket, you run the risk of breaking those off if your socket gets kind of cocked sideways. And this socket has a nice ridge in it that stops right here, just gets, oh, I guess I could look at what I'm talking about. The ridge in the socket stops right here on the injectors. It keeps everything straight because it's a nice machined socket. And it just does the job perfectly. Using these sockets, I've probably had 10 different injectors sets in and out and never had an issue with injector nipples, anything like that. I highly recommend this snap-on socket. But like I said, when I bought the socket, I believe it was around $60, which is kind of pricey for just one socket. But if you plan on doing this job more than once or twice, I highly recommend it. It just makes the job so much easier, especially when we get over to this side. Getting down in there, the socket has a nut on top, so in a place where you can't get an actual ratchet or an extension or anything, you can slide the socket in there and get a wrench on this end and pop the injector out, which I found helps a lot on a van application with the doghouse and everything. That socket does a great job because you can slide it in there, get a wrench on this, and break the injector loose. You're not worrying about trying to fit a ratchet in there or anything of that sort. And so I highly recommend, like I said, snap on. Let me zoom back in, maybe. Oh, there it is. Sam 6128 is the part number. And I just ordered that from my local snap-on dealer, and he had it to me within a week. I actually have two of them. One I can keep in the shop, and one I take with me when I travel with the truck, and it just works out that way. I'm investing in everything I can to help myself work on these 6.5s more proficiently and just make the job that much easier. But no more talking. Let's try and get to work. I'm going to see how much I can do with one hand, and I might end up having to put you guys down and slap some injectors in it. Weasel that out of there. So one thing I do with these injectors when you have the old coppers is I have a pair of these, which is a Nipex. It's an extra small Cobra. The XS Cobra, I believe that's the part number for these little guys, and it's going to be kind of a pain to prop it up and show you. Let me try and do it this way. But what you do is you grab the copper washer just barely with these pliers, and you get it to twist like so. Let me try and get that on there. Twist it, and that copper comes right off just like so. And then you'll clean that up with the wire brush. Make sure you can kind of see, if it'll zoom in, there's some carbon right there, some flakes. You'll just want to make sure you get that cleaned up so you have a good seal with your copper. And we'll go and do that with the other 7 injectors, and we're going to get them slapped in there. So I'm probably going to put you guys, I'm going to prop the phone up. I'm going to keep it real time. I know you guys wanted to, you had mentioned it a few times about actually watching videos of me working on it. So I could time lapse it, but we are going to keep it in real time on this video, and you guys tell me which you'd prefer, if I time lapsed it or if you want the real time me talking about it and me working on it. So this video, it's not going to be very long, so it'll be a little easier to judge, but let's prop this phone up and we are going to slap some injectors in it real quick. Alright, so got the camera flipped around here, guys. I'm gonna go find a rag. Okay, got a rag here. We're just gonna wipe these injectors up real nice. And like I said, make sure all your carbon buildup is cleaned off where your copper washer is gonna sit. Grab your new copper, and they always kind of fit kind of loose on there, so you're gonna kind of have to hold it. Or another thing you could do is dab a little bit of grease, engine oil, assembly lube, something in there, and it'll kind of create a suction to hold that copper on. And what we're gonna do is just kind of hold it the easy way, and then it'll slide down in there. Spinner hand tight. I don't know if you guys can see that front cylinder very well where I have the camera propped, but we'll be able to see the next three fairly easy. And like I showed you, just grab that copper with your pair of pliers. Come on now. There you go. Just kind of twist it to break it free. Comes right off. New copper after you make sure all your carbon's gone. Another one. It just makes it super easy. You're not messing with a pick or a screwdriver or anything like that to get that copper off. There's another one. Got the third injector in there, so now let's get this fourth injector in on this side. There we go. And now I'm going to go grab a short extension, about an inch or two, and it just makes it easier, spaces your ratchet away from your valve cover and everything like that, so we're not scratching up the nice new yellow paint. So I'll be right back, grab a ratchet. Okay, got my ratchet, the short extension, and the socket. Get her over there nice and easy. And I believe there actually is a torque spec for these. I've just done enough of them that you just feel it. Which I can refer back to the book and I can give you guys the actual torque spec for these. I can do that here in a second. After we get the other side snugged in there, I will show you guys that. And there we are. There's those. So what I do is I take this cap put it on this end line. Might have to grab my needle nose. We'll see if I can get it with these small pliers. There we go, got that cap on. And then, like I said with these, they're just a push lock style hose. So you slide those guys on just like that. Again with that one. And this stuff typically comes in a big roll, and then you cut your own lengths so you can route it as tight or as long as you would like. Pardon me. Looks like I'm missing a section here. I'm gonna go double check. Nope, that's where I wanted that. Nope, I was right. You know what? I think that injector is just off from where it was last year. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab my roll and we're going to cut some new sizes. I'll show you that. So here's the extra section I have, and you can cut it with just about anything: razor knife, pocket knife, zip tie cutters, anything of the sort. I have these wire cutters. So what you do is you put it on your injector. This part's kind of self-explanatory. Slide it over, get it about to where you want, and then you just trim it where you want it. Just like so. Slide her on over. There we go. And there we are, guys. Got your injector return lines right here, all nice and ran. Got the back cap on this one, like I was explaining. Got the cap right here for to plug off your end return. Got all that nice and done. Sorry about the camera, I'm trying to hold it backwards. Got all the injectors in, tightened down. And now let's go over to the other side and I'll show you guys how I do that side. Okay, so I actually just threw these four injectors in on this side because it's literally the exact same on this side as that side. The only part I wanted to show you was that back injector. You can get a ratchet in there, but it's kind of a pain to get a good torque on it without trying to get the paint on your valve cover messed up and everything. So you can either do it with the wrench and a socket on this hex part of there, or another easy way is just get a nice extension to come all the way to the other side of your Hydro Boost here. And as you can see, it's a nice straight shot into it, which is what I like to do. It's a little bit easier. You're not scratching valve covers and stuff, which on some of them that's not that big of a deal, but I'm really trying to keep this thing nice and shiny and all of that good stuff. So got it all the way out here. Get a nice good torque on it. And there's the 4 injectors on that side. Like I said, that's the only one that might give you a little grief depending on what tools you have to get to that back socket or to that back injector, depending on your socket and ratchet and all that kind of good stuff. But if you need to, you can run an extension past the steering shaft and over to here, and you can get any ratchet you want to it and just get her good and tight. What I am going to do now is I'm going to run over to my dinosaur Bible is what I call it. Not a lot of people have these anymore. Good old Haynes book. This particular one, 10330, covers all of the Chevrolet diesels, the old ones. Covers the 5.7, the 6.2, and the 6.5. It covers a 6.9 and 7.3 IDI Ford engine, and it also covers the 7.3 Power Stroke. A lot of people don't use these anymore, but there's many dirty pages in this one. So let's see, Chapter 2, specifications on the 5.7 6.2 6.5. Looks like that's the page we're going to be looking for, is 2-1. Let's find our way. Huh, would you look at that? I got the corner bent. General specs. These are, shows you engine specs for measurements, for like bearing diameters, things like that. Torque specs. Let's go through here. Cam, blah, blah, next page. Injector hard lines. Fuel injector 2-cylinder head right there. 5.7, 6.2, and 6.5. Let's run over 50 foot-pounds. Foot-pounds, unless otherwise noted. So that sumbuck is, they're 50 foot-pounds for a 6.2 and a 6.5 for a fuel injector 2-cylinder head torque. And then fuel injection pump mounting nuts, 31 for the pump. Let's scroll down. If you're doing glow plugs at the same time as your injectors, those are 156 inch-pounds. Injector lines are 18 foot-pounds. Injector nozzles you won't really be messing with, but those are also 18. Injection pump gear bolts, 17 foot-pounds. Injection pump gear nuts, 31 foot-pounds. And then on the next iteration, my next video, we will be installing we will be installing injector lines, put the intake on for good with new gaskets, and we will go from there, like with coolant crossover, things like that, which at that point we will come to the injection or intake manifold bolts, which are 31 foot-pounds, it looks like, and we can go from there. But as you can see how dirty these pages are, I've used this book many a time in my day of tinkering with this old white tractor here. I highly recommend, if you're going to work on any of these old tractors, be it a Ford or a Chevrolet, this book is definitely a good one to have. The Haynes Tech Book Diesel Engine Repair Manual. like I said, number 10330. It covers the 5.7 Chevy diesel, or the GM diesel. It was a 350 Olds diesel, is the 5.7. And then you have the 6.2, the 6.5, the 6.9 Ford, the 7.3 IDI, and the 7.3 Power Stroke. Alright guys, so I know this wasn't a very long video, not very interesting. We were just putting some injectors in it, but I really just wanted to go over that socket, which is a real lifesaver if you're going to do this, like I said, more than once or twice. I highly recommend you invest in that snap-on 30mm injector socket specifically for 6.2 and 6.5 diesels. And like I said, I will repeat again, even though you can go back, it is the part number on said socket, sorry, get all up in my grill, is a S as in Sam 6128. That is the part number for that snap-on injector socket for the 6.2 and 6.5s. Highly recommend that. A good pair of needle nose pliers, especially if you're doing this job from original, it'll still have those spring clamps on the injector returns. A good small pair of needle nose I've found works best to get those little clamps off. It's easier to get in there, especially on the back cylinders, and get those clamps off. Recommend the socket, the needle nose, the small pair of channel locks that I showed you, which are right here. Like I said, they are Nipex. It's kind of hard to see the part number, but they are 87-100, 100. And I found out those work the best for, like I said, just gripping the copper washer. Give it a couple twists, it comes right off. You're not messing with it, you're not scratching the injector body or anything trying to get those copper washers off. Just makes the job a breeze. As far as that goes, that's about really all the tools that you really need specifically, like specialty tools, to get this job done, in my opinion. Of course, there's always other tools to make the job easier, like angle wrenches to do injector lines, which I will go through on the next video. When we install injector lines, I'll show you the 4-way angle wrenches that make the job very easy and things like that. But I figure I will cut this video at that point. We got the injectors in, one step closer to getting it running. We will, in the next video, get the injector lines on, get the intake bolted down with good intake gaskets. I will show you guys the modifications I did to the intake manifold in the next video to deal with turbo, new intake, things of that nature. So stay tuned for the next video, guys. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know if you have that socket or if you have a similar one. Put that in the comments down below, what you guys have found works best for the job, and maybe it's a cheaper option. The snap-on one's very convenient for me, being I have a snap-on tool dealer that comes to the shop daily, or weekly, not daily. Feels like he comes daily. Whew, those weeks go by quick. But the snap-on dealer, he comes by. The warranty's real easy to deal with. If there's a defect with the socket, I can just give it to him, get a new one back. Easy peasy. But if you have another option that you use for a specialty injector socket, put it down in the comments so everybody can know the options, and that way if they don't want to spend the $60-70 on the snap-on socket, they can find a cheaper alternative option that still gets the job done. But thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you on the next one.